Day 621 of the Ukrainian War Map, also known as the Russo-Ukrainian War. Juzzy here, and today is another update as I take a simplified and down-to-earth approach to some of the most important happenings on the ground in Ukraine. So starting off, we'll take a look at those losses, as currently Russia is sitting on more than 305,000 losses of the Russian occupiers in Ukraine. Just shy of 306. Then as for hardware losses, 4 tanks, 5 APVs and 14 artillery. Then we'll head back across to the map and we'll start out in the lower Donetsk region because, well, as we can see here from the AFU, with one going up in Sidova, which is just 6 kilometers or about 4 miles from Russia's mainland. Then, as for the range from Ukrainian-controlled or liberated lands, it's about 100 kilometers. In fact, I'll pop that in here just to give us a quick idea. There we go, so 100 Ks, which puts it outside of your standard 88-kilometer HIMARS and GIMLARS rocket range. Now, the detonation caused a whopping explosion that burned throughout the night until morning, and then reports came from the ground stating that no munitions were recoverable from this event. Also, the cause of the explosion has not yet been confirmed, although apparently some helicopters were also destroyed in the process as well. Then we'll head up on the map to Avdiivka now. So with no frontline map changes today, although Russia's leadership does indeed continue to demonstrate a willingness to accept heavy personnel losses for marginal territorial gains. In fact, there was a recent article related to some leaked audio from a Russian soldier who said that just 8 Ukrainian fighters successfully fended off and eliminated hundreds of his comrades from a heavily fortified Ukrainian position, which included a pillbox. As when they flew a drone over to that location, they saw just the 8 Ukrainian snipers and machine gunners. Now, it's likely that the Ukrainian forces to achieve these sorts of results had artillery fire support and were met by Russians using World War I wave tactics. But even still, the future of Ukrainian cinema in post-war Ukraine would surely be thriving with countless gripping stories just like that one. Then as for this region, and perhaps most importantly, we take a look at the weather now, which is noticeably colder, wetter and muddier this week, which makes it almost impossible for an offensive force to continue said offensive operations, because you're risking the mud or getting stuck in the mud, and there is never a good outcome for that. Then heading across on the map, as there was what appeared to be another Russian ammunition cook-off, this time at Enoda, which is the town of the adjacent Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, and certainly a precarious location it would seem for such a cook-off. Now you can see it pop off there and emit all types of light frequencies, and I'm willing to bet that it was the position of a massive stockpile of ammo that Russia uses weekly, if not daily, to fling shells and other various munitions indiscriminately across the river to Nikopol. And what a battered and bruised town this one has been throughout the war. Then as for some notable occurrences in this region recently, as a Russian radio electronic warfare station, which goes by the name of Pol 21, which is designed to suppress GPS satellite navigation and other radio wave channels in a radius of about 25 kilometers, was destroyed by the AFU. Now, these platforms cost around $10 million per unit, and Russia is estimated to have between just 10 to 20 of them. Ironically, it was taken out by a GPS-guided JDAM munition. Yep, the very thing it was designed to counter against. Then also somewhere in the Zaporizhia region, a Russian stockpile of TM-62 anti-tank mines were located, then destroyed by Ukrainian drones. So not a bad score. Then briefly to Odessa, as Russia launched another missile and drone attack on the city and the wider oblast. Specifically, explosions were reported in the city, And there were some photos and videos of a massive crater from an impact by an Iskander-K missile somewhere in the city center there. Big ol' hole in the ground. And just to note, probably worthy of a mention, Odessa is considered one of the cultural capitals of Ukraine, which actually is a UNESCO heritage listed site. Tusk. Then moving on, due to some severe technical software limitations of my own, I'll be keeping the video probably the shortest one I've ever done today. But I'll round it off with a few quick segments that I know that you guys generally enjoy. So this one is, we haven't seen this in a while. Starting off with a Russian mobilization blunder segment. So in this video, relatives of Russian mobilized men from the 108th Air Assault Brigade were demanding their men to be sent on leave. Come back home, basically, for a breather. And they take a slightly different approach this time, stating that they're not asking Putin to look into this mess, but just to allow their men some leave from their non-stop and ongoing deployment in Ukraine for an entire year, they say now. However, they do seem to fight back maybe a little bit, stating that it's against Russian law to have soldiers stationed permanently during an official peacetime SMO scenario. They also say that Putin promised leave every 6 months for soldiers. Something that, of course, has not happened here, as Putin has obviously decided to not keep that promise that they tried to remind him about. And the thing is, naturally, Putin will ignore these pleas like all of the others. In fact, it's something of a legal grey zone now to even produce this sort of footage. But I still have high hopes for one potential outcome of this war, being that after almost every Russian family is affected directly somehow by this disaster of an invasion into Ukraine, that they will then realize that Putin was never the one to fix their problems, because Putin was the one causing their problems all along. And then, in light of this epiphany that they may or may not have, this would be followed by countrywide civilian protests, but, you know, hey, a guy can hope. Then, in a bit of a quick lighter segment today, so photos were posted from last night's Ukrainian sky, as it was possible to observe a very rare natural phenomenon. The Northern Lights, also known as the Aurora Borealis. Just marvelous. Then moving across to a couple of funnies, a bit of a double scooping of funnies for the shorter video today. So, as for the first funny, the Russian MOD continues to make outlandishly wild claims, recently stating that Russia destroyed 13,000 Ukrainian tanks and other military vehicles, plus an additional nearly 15,000 other military vehicles too. And I think that they're just stating the losses on their own balance sheet instead, trying to pass them off as Ukrainian losses. Also, apparently Russia destroyed 517 Ukrainian aircraft plus 253 helicopters, as it's described there. Now, Ukraine's pre-war levels of aircraft sat on just a measly 124 jets, for instance. Then they received another 60 or so Soviet jet planes after the war began. But never mind the facts, as it would appear that Russia says it's destroyed the Ukrainian Air Force nearly 3 times over now. Then to a final funny to round it all off today, guys. So, behold, the mighty Second Army of the world achieving new copium levels. Now, at first glance, I thought it was completely rusted out what I was looking at here. But that's just from a lot of the materials they've used, the cope cages and whatnot on the outside. Also, they decided to use what appears to be blocks of wood as opposed to equipping it with actual ERA blocks. And I haven't even mentioned the worst part, because beneath this eyesore of a gigantic monstrosity, all these amazing upgrades have been performed on a BTR-50, which is an armoured personnel carrier first designed in 1952, then entered service in 1954. Just everything is wrong about this. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks again for watching. Please feel free to comment and like and subscribe if not already. I'm really looking to push that 100k mark in the next month or two for the subscribers. Now, as for the short video, again, technical issues, particularly software issues, they're really killing me. But I do hope to be back to full speed soon enough. So thanks again for watching, guys. And yeah, I do hope to see all of you guys there in the next one. Cheers.